Welcome back to the MartiniWorks Podcast. We're back, season
2.
No,
Still.
okay. All right, fine.
Like
Are you sure it's not a new season? We got new chairs.
Yeah, we got new.
Yeah, we're sitting out on the lawn today.
Just so you guys know, if you're listening to him, we got some Conti director chairs.
Show 'em.
we're sitting in.
Move a little bit. Show 'em.
I can't
Yeah,
move.
Alex can't.
So the reason that we're sitting in these is because they got back support, because I twisted my back, and I'm not entirely sure if it was when I was carrying things down from Dustin's wedding this past weekend or from dancing. But I can't.
You
turn-
tried to break dance. I
I'm
saw
I was
you.
feeling-
going to say, I want to say it's from dancing just because it makes for a better story.
I'm feeling like Zoolander because I just can't turn left right now, and it hurts a lot. But hey, welcome back.
Blue steel.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody for coming back for another podcast. We're super appreciative, and to everybody who picked something up from MartiniWorks.com. We've been actually selling a ton of wheel and tire packages, helping people. We actually got a set. I'm looking at work ZR10s on some
They're sitting
Conti,
right in front of us.
ECSO2.
on some Conti ECSO2s. Guys got good taste. So
For real.
we do I think we just added what, BBS onto the site too?
BBS, I think we're getting, the one-piece works are pretty much done.
Yeah, those
I
are on the
think.
site
And
too.
BBS.
Yeah, we're getting BBS, and then HKS we're trying to get loaded up as well.
Yeah, so
Some big names.
yeah,
Those are.
BBS, HKS, and Work Wheels will be on the site by the time you guys are listening in on this. So we've been really focusing on, if you need help building your car, mod your car at MartiniWorks.com, but we're trying to do it with parts that are good stuff.
Yes.
So we really appreciate all the support. We love you guys. And if you're not modding your car and you want to just pick up a T-shirt,
Got that too.
we celebrate and clap just as loud for T-shirts because we're in the same
Yes.
space.
I actually might clap more because we
Well-
have so many over there.
And
Yeah.
if you get a T-shirt, it's like, we know you fuck with us.
Yeah.
Like when you buy
Yeah.
someone's T-shirt, you fuck with them. So I like the T-shirt or just as much. I do get hyped when people get Extreme Contact Sport 02s though, because I've had such a good experience with them. I love, I'm excited to hear. The guy's name is Don, and they're going on this Subaru.
Don.
And
I found it.
I can't wait to hear what he thinks of it. Do you have the bad cord?
Alex
Yeah,
is
I got
back.
the- I
It's
got
the
the-
cord. Ladies and gentlemen, figured out the cause. It's the cord. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh no, we're throwing that cord out.
Get that cord out of here.
We're muting you.
That cord back where it came from, or so help me.
It was working good. What'd you do with it?
I'm
Hi.
trying to get to
Oh,
there you go.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
All right,
I
don't move.
think
Give it a little bit of slack, and you'll be good.
no.
don't do that.
Oh, I got to do
Oh,
this.
God.
It's kinked in the first 14 inches of the cord, so I'm gonna. Wow, this is a terrible. Whatever. Let's talk about project car. This is like the
Slowly
worst
lay it
look for
down.
me.
Just slowly lay it
Can
down.
I? Can I? Can
Yep.
I? Can
Yeah, of
I?
course
can
you
I?
can.
There we go.
You didn't know we're just dealing with some faulty equipment. We're gonna throw it out today. Now we
I promise.
pinpointed
Yeah.
which cord it is. We're gonna throw it out, order a new one. So sorry.
Yeah,
That's some
because
Rook Cuss shit right there.
Dakota got it twice in a row. We're like, Dad, can't be
Yeah.
the cord to get it twice in a row.
Like
but
maybe it's
like,
the board, maybe it's the
a-
mic.
I don't know the odds, but there's only 3 cables. and
Have you
3
ever
of
heard
us.
about that? What is it? Is it a math story where it's like you've got 3 doors, right? Door 1, door 2, and door 3.
Okay, I'm picturing.
And
3 doors
behind 2 doors are donkeys, but behind one of the doors is a brand new car.
Okay.
Okay, so you're at this game station, and they're like, "Which door would you like?" And you say, "Door 1," right? And they're like, "Okay, we're going to open up one of the other doors." So they open up door 2, and guess what it is? It's a donkey. The question to you guys is, they say, "Hey, you can change the door you'd like to open if you'd like. Do you change it?"
No.
Well, I wouldn't have picked door 1. So in that circumstance, yes, I would have changed it to door 3. If I got the pick from the get-go, no, I would have stayed with my decision.
So you see, mathematics would tell you, the world would tell you that you're supposed to switch because you
Really?
had a 1 in 3 chance before you made the decision.
Yeah, but-
and now you have a 1 in 2 chance in making that same decision.
But you're making 2 decisions. It's not the same decision.
See, this is why we aren't in school anymore. We're talking about math problems. Anyway, you guys
I
can
would
drop.
stick with my gut. It's a 50-50 chance either way.
You guys can drop in the comments if I'm making shit up or not, because I heard that
Well,
like
wait,
12
which
years
door
ago.
had the car?
Yeah. What was it?
It's not about that. God damn it.
Did I get donkeyed or did I get card?
You got donkeyed.
Aw.
No, it's about probability. It's not about the fucking car.
It stays
What
the
kind
same.
of car was it?
It was a 2020 Audi R8. Hello?
Oh, dang, that was pretty good. I wanted that.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, let's talk about new car projects, new updates.
Oh, well, I got plenty of those. The projects keep getting thrown at me because my shit keeps breaking.
Yeah, well, Gels woke up And in a world of dry garages, he found a
Wet garage.
what?
It just keeps happening. It's like we park our vehicles and then we just wake up the next morning and there's mystery fluid just all over the ground, and I don't understand why they keep.
Welcome to Volkswagen.
This one was. I never had red fluid before.
That's a scary color.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
So it's
Yeah.
power steering fluid.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So the Jeep is down. My wife and I have been playing back and forth with the BMW because she can't drive manual and doesn't want to drive the RX-8, understandably so. The thing's kind of a pain in the ass to drive with its turning radius. And so it's like I've been driving the RX-8 everywhere, which is fine. Love the car. Get to drive it more. Not too bad. But when I went to pull out of the garage the other morning because she left for work and I was going to drive to work and forgot my laptop. I was like, oh, shit. So I hopped out the car, went to run back in. I looked at the piece of cardboard that I had on the ground just in case, and it was like drenched with mystery fluid. I'm like, what the fuck?
Uh-oh.
Hello? Turns out that the 240 that I had previously parked there, something's going on with the steering rack or the power steering pump or something, because it is soaked. I went and looked under the 240 when I got home because I'm like, it's either the RX-8 or the 240, but the RX-8 doesn't make any sense because it's, it just didn't make sense for that car because I had just drove it like all weekend and no lights were on, no fluids were on. Like where it was didn't make sense to where the car was parked. But yeah, so I looked under the 240 and sure enough there was a couple drops and then the passenger side of the steering rack was just soaked in fluid. So
last
something
time
going on there.
you
Yeah, so I
beat her a
would
little
imagine
too hard.
yeah,
Because
so
he was driving it so hard.
I was driving so
Advanced
damn
course.
hard on advanced that I blew my steering rack out.
Angle was
Dude,
insane.
I had full lock on my cut and welded knuckles.
Oh my God. You're
farther than
LCS.
full lock.
so cool.
And so it must have been like I drove the car home, parked it, and I haven't moved it or touched it since. And it was in that spot.
Sweating horsepower.
Yeah, it was just sweating steering power.
Dakota, what's new with you? What do you got going on?
Too much. I have too much going on. My cars all need Jesus, except the Golf R. Golf R is blessed. I pray to the Golf R. I sleep in the Golf R. I eat with the Golf R. I love the Golf R. Every other car can go fuck itself.
Yeah,
I'm sick of cars right now.
Honestly, it's fun outside of our shop because right now it's all gravel. However, gravel doesn't do a great job at absorbing fluids which exit cars. And right now, both Dakota and Dustin are competing for most random stains on rocks outside our
see
shop
that. I
of
do see
2024.
Mine's for
Both
sure
of them.
coolant.
Both of them.
I'm leaking coolant in the Jetta.
Dustin, every single day your truck shows up with a new fluid leaking from underside, and then you're like, "Oh no, that's that's
Oh, he's coming to
Dustin's
defend
the
himself.
king of his truck leaks a ton of fluid.
yeah."
but
And then
he has
there's
like
a
an
reason.
excuse.
Yeah, there's a
for-
reason for it every time.
Fixed it.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was a leaky oil drain plug because it.
That's it?
Yeah. So the threads are just like flat, and so it just needed a gasket, and now it doesn't leak anymore. It's
And
freaking
next
killer.
week,
No
it's going to be
fluids.
the power steering pump is loose, and then the week after
Okay.
that,
Last time I talked to you, you said the rear main seal needed to be fixed, and it was like $5,000.
And it was the oil drain plug?
I think it was just the drain plug. It's just throwing so much oil over everything. I think. I don't know. So far, I think the pavement's dry, which is cool.
That's the best when like you think something's one
Yeah.
thing and then it turns out just being a super small.
You do kind of feel like a dum-dum, though.
it is kind of nice though to have that. I would rather dum dum on a simple fix than super smart on a difficult fix.
I got something for you guys. I want to
Okay.
hear your thoughts. I got a little predicament.
Okay.
I made myself look
Hello?
potentially stupid.
No.
Okay.
So I recently installed a diverter valve spacer.
Oh, yeah.
What the
This
hell?
very well could be ricer of me. I don't care. I love turbo noise. That's why I
Yeah.
buy turbocharged cars. And rather than placing the entire diverter valve, you can get a spacer for it that just goes between the diverter valve and the housing of the turbo, right? And then it just has little holes in it, so that way when it vents, it goes to the atmosphere, but it also recirculates. So you're still getting that extra air into the system, so no
Little
engine
noise.
lights, anything like that. But you also get a little, and it sounds cool.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. You get that blow off valve noise.
But the intention is not to have a
There's no
blow-off valve.
performance. There's no
No,
performance
it's
gain
just
whatsoever.
sound.
But what's worse is I'm getting a lot of comments from the community saying, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, that's a very Audi thing and Volkswagen thing though. Typically,
Yeah, because
as you start to get older, you're supposed to only run diverter valves.
Yeah, and it is a diverter. Like I maintain
Still
my
there.
Like-
factory diverter valve. It's just a plate that goes in between it, and they're saying
a little bit.
it's going to cause a boost leak
Yep.
and it's going to cause oil leaks.
I don't know about that. I know that with boost leaks, that was a really common thing. Even all the way back when I had my C5 A6, I bought the Forge dual blow off valves, and I caught I caught something. I caught hell for that. And then I did it again on my B7A4. And then finally, after that Audi, I switched to diverter valves only because, a lot of people would say that blow-off valves aren't meant for those cars.
Why?
A lot of times I think it has something to do with the way that they have the sequential, at least on the C5A6, is because it was like sequential turbos and the ECU is built not to have any sort of blow off of the pressure. It uses the recirculating to help kind of catch the boost if you get back on it right away off the acceleration. That was the reason for that one. The B7, I have no idea. I don't really care.
Yeah, so I contacted the manufacturer, and I actually got to talk to the engineer.
Oh.
That made it.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I said, hey, I screenshot the comments. I was like, what's your take?
Yeah. Ooh.
I was like, I want to be able to tell these
He went to
people-
the source.
You went to the source?
Yeah, and
You talked to Mr. Volkswagen?
I don't want to say I was like mad or not mad. I was disappointed, but it was just kind of a lackluster response. I was hoping he was going to be like, bro, I made this shit. I run it on my car. My car has 200,000 miles. I haven't done
Here's the
anything.
science
Of course
of
it
why
does
it does nothing.
Yeah. It was more like, well, yeah, it has a hole in it, so you are creating a boost leak essentially. As for the fluids leaking, I don't know what fluids. I can't really see why, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit.
God,
And I was like,
I hated all
not.
that.
I'm not sold.
I just,
I'm
I
not
wanted the
sold.
fucking rock hard. And obviously,
Maybe
I'm
that-
paraphrasing a lot here, but
Maybe that in itself is your
yeah. So
answer.
honestly, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I think I'm gonna just take it out. The open source intake, it's not a covered air filter, which is a whole nother.
Oh,
thing
yeah,
I get
I
ripped
saw-
apart for.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
Hello?
okay, guys.
that hot air intake
Guys,
on there.
I know everyone that
Oh.
listens to the podcast is smart, and I probably don't need to explain this, but having an intake with no heat shield around it. Okay, granted, yes, it's nice to have a heat shield. You want the colder air, but in a daily driver application, the performance gain or loss that I see from that is negligible. I will never notice it, and it's perfectly fine. If I was taking that thing to the Autobahn or Road America and I'm fighting for milliseconds, yeah, you bet your ass I'm going to have more of a performance-oriented intake, that's designed for that type of thing. But otherwise, I'm just going to get like a cheap one that sounds cool and looks good in the engine bay.
Well, it's like most of the
fine.
new intakes on cars, sports cars specifically, like they're better than aftermarket.
Yeah.
And any sort of horsepower or torque gain isn't the actual air intake. It's just the removal of those air boxes that
Right.
you're seeing that horsepower gain from. So, like, I love all of our air intake partners, right? I love K&N. I love all of them. But like, you're gaining so much power just by taking the 30-pound air box out and just putting two filters, because now all of a sudden the engine's like, holy shit, I got a lot of air.
Yeah.
And
People are so upset
voila,
about the hot
there you go.
air.
Yeah.
Very upset about the hot
even the E46 M3, I learned just a couple weeks ago when I was doing some research on the How to Modify series. I came to the conclusion that the E46 has a natural cold air intake. So there's actually no purpose of changing any intake on any M3 pretty much from the get-go.
You really look at any of them, and they kind of do have that set up, because I remember we were working on obviously like the Z when we put the intake in there, like even
Same
the RX, even the RX-8, the FRS, like I believe the FRS had it. Like they have some sort of like pickup tube, right? That like directs air up and in. So it's like you're still getting airflow. It's not like it's just the engine bay is like sealed off. There's plenty of air moving through that area.
It reminds me of the days, I'll tell you this, not with the blow-off valve, but the OG Audi crowd will know this mod,
Oh God.
the Swiss cheese mod.
Oh yeah, Sean Berger did this.
Have you heard the
Oh
Swiss
yes, I have. Yeah.
The Swiss cheese mod was my greatest mod I ever did.
Just go drill holes in it.
And what it is, ladies and gentlemen, it is the cheapest modification you can do to your car, because all that it requires is your OEM airbox and a drill. And you take that out and then you just poke holes in the front of the air intake box. And what you get is still the OEM system. You don't have to deal with any check engine lights. But then you get that sweet, sweet intake noise. I did that on my C5A6. One side I fucked up because I put too many holes, and eventually I just like cut a hole in the front of it.
Oh my God.
And so on the other side, I did it a little bit less. But yeah. There you go. You can have your $0 air intake mod.
Real quick, to bring it back to the diverter valve, I'm going to read the statement from the director of engineering real quick. I want to get your guys' thoughts on it.
All right.
I want you to either say, okay, I'm satisfied, or bullshit.
All right.
No in between.
All right, got it.
A diverter valve spacer intentionally creates a vent to atmosphere situation. So yes, it is technically a controlled boost leak. As for the problems and oil leaks, I would question where the leaks are coming from. These spacers will not cause additional crankcase pressure, so there shouldn't be any leaks on engine seals. The only place that could become a problem would be the turbo. But we spend the time to match our port size on the spacer as close as physically possible to the OE recirculation port. In turn, this will avoid putting the turbo into a surge scenario. The true and only downside to a well-designed diverter valve spacer is the fact you are venting metered air in the intake track. This could create moments of rich AFRs, but this would only occur while shifting and off throttle under essentially zero load.
Okay, so answer?
Yeah. You did thumbs up, but
Oh, yeah.
so what does that mean?
Well, the comes from the fact that he's in all the professional engineer
He
ways
answered
of
it.
saying he answered it, but he's also kind of telling you the thing you don't want to
Right,
hear.
that's
which
what I
is
was saying.
Yeah.
the mod is
like-
not good.
he's like-
in your car.
It's not the best. He's like, but we took care to make sure that it's not terrible.
It'd be like emailing Celsius energy drinks and being like, "Can I have two?"
And they're
I'd
like,
be like,
you could.
"Well, we put fruit on the front of it so it looks healthy and it's got some B12."
Let's say,
Yeah.
it's like this. It's literally like you're getting cereal, right? Modern day cereal. It tastes really good. You know it's loaded with sugar. It's terrible for you, and then it probably has some stuff in it that you shouldn't be putting in your body. But overall,
But what you're doing is you're putting a bowl of cereal on a Facebook forum of best breakfasts, and then you're saying, "Look at my cereal," and then the audience is saying, "Why didn't you have a nice over easy egg? That's way better."
you're right. I gotta say, I don't know. It sounds cool. I haven't noticed any problems personally, but I will probably revert back.
Dude,
to
things
Yeah.
sounding rad though is 90% of owning a car.
Yeah, it's the thing. Like Alex said, I totally get where he's coming from with that answer, though, because like coming from a little bit of an engineering background and like the responsibility that's put on your plate if something were to go wrong, it's like to come straight out and say no, it's 100% safe. You can't really do that
No.
because there's always a margin for something to go wrong.
Yep.
And maybe he was just trying to cover it, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, I'm not sold
and
on
you
it.
know, I could say too, like I do appreciate him not just blowing smoke up my ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gave a
Honesty's-
very honest answer. So
Honesty is a good thing. I mean, it's there's so many just myths around when you modify your car, and I think the toughest thing for somebody who loves cars to hear is that 9 times out of 10, especially cars in the last 10 years, what you can probably bolt onto your car is questionably as good or worse than what came from factory.
Yeah.
And so when you really start playing it, that's the worst part about getting knowledgeable in the car scene is you start to realize that, and that's why you see older people do less shit to their cars.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
Because people
get it.
people
get
start throwing things on their car. They're like, "Oh, well, you know, the OEM this was kind of weak." It's like, well, yeah, but you're modifying a 25-year-old car.
Right.
If you do the OEM version, you're probably going to be really nice and really, but you know, it's cool to mod your shit. I like modding my stuff, even if it sometimes make it worse. I have an entire car dedicated to that principle.
I see a new car over there, but we don't gotta say anything about that.
We do have a
So
car.
fucking excited.
And we are so stoked to share it with you guys. The boys took it off-roading yesterday, and I think this is going to be a build that's super different for you, but it's going to be exciting.
Everyone
Because
comment
it sits
below.
like 5 feet in the air.
Guess what car we bought from MartiniWorks? Comment below.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see if anyone nails it. And say the color. The car and the color.
The color's the coolest part.
It is 100%.
Yeah. We're going to take a small break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about, honestly, the realities of doing this. Because I think more often than not, a lot of you guys probably hear or just see that we make videos. But there's a whole slew of shit that goes on behind the scenes that is really, really great. And sometimes is super, super shitty. So with that being said, thank you to Continental for being a sponsor of the MartiniWorks podcast. We talk about them all the time. Absolutely incredible tire. We're actually going to be running them on the new build as well. We just talked about them being on a set of work ZR10s. And
Not for that car.
Not for that car. But if you go to MartiniWorks.com, you're going to notice we only have 2 tire brands on the website right now. And we've done that for almost a year. And that's because we really didn't feel the need to expand past that. Continental offers a ton of different offerings for people that are looking to track, street, off-road even, or just have a nice little winter setup during the cold months. And Continental offers all of that. They have an incredible warranty on a lot of their tires. They have roadside assistance. They have different sort of support elements. They have things that you can do with the tires where you register them. It gets you a whole suite of benefits. And so we've pretty much told people when they want a wheel and tire package, you're either going to get it with Continental or you're going to get it with General. And a lot of times we've been able to get people set up with Contis. And we have not heard a single bad thing about it, which is just absolutely incredible. So we will be expanding our offering on the site over time. But one of the reasons we felt so confident about it is because we really do believe in Continental. So if you're looking for a reason to buy them now, the Extreme Contact Sporto 2 has a $110 rebate.
Now is the time.
Which is
now.
The biggest rebate they pretty much do all year on the ECS02, and it's a really, really great summer performance tire. You'd absolutely love it. So it's over on MartiniWorks.com. We got the best prices. You can mount them with wheels. We'll ship them to your door. It's absolutely kick-ass. We love you guys. Let's take a small break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Something that is probably the most mythical thing you can do in your life is make videos on the internet and do it enough where you feel like that's actually something you can do as like a career. And there is so much information out there. If you go and type it on YouTube, how to make YouTube videos, how to get good at making YouTube videos, how to get views, how to make it a career. Like, it's the most wanted career in like right now for kids under 17 or 16 or whatever it is. But there are some very harsh realities of doing what we're doing right now. And I think it'd be fun to just talk and tell you guys the good, the bad, the indifference, maybe some things that you don't get to hear, don't get to see, of what it takes to make MartiniWorks run. I think that'd be fun. You guys think it'd be fun?
Yeah, I think there's just something to clear up there too. I think we all acknowledge how thankful we are that we get to do stuff with cars every day. And even if, there's pros and cons and we're listing some of the cons, we're doing this tomorrow. We're waking up doing it tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So it's like, we do appreciate it. But yeah, I think it's not to sit and complain, but just to give you guys a more behind the scenes look.
Pull that curtain back a little bit.
What all goes into it, because it's not everything it looks like.
No.
Especially to my middle-aged family that asks what I do for a living. And thinks I literally do nothing. Or just make a goofy video and make fart noises or something. Like, they think that's my job. Although that is part of my job.
It is a percentage.
That is not all of it. So I just wanted to give almost like a little disclaimer in there, because I know how easy it is. Like, where you're a lot of you guys probably working those hard fucking blue collar jobs and stuff like that, which I've done too. I've worked in factories and warehouses, so I totally 100% relate and get that side of things. And I don't want you to be like, man, these fucking guys sitting in their air conditioned, but it's actually not air conditioned. Their nice tin shed
looks like they got you working the
got it real hard, don't you, brother? Got soft hands.
I know.
No, it's more just getting a look into everything we do rather than just
the reality of it.
the shiny bits.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I've come to realize, especially since starting, essentially square one back in 2022, I took a 2-week break when I left April 16th to, I think it was March 6th was like my time off. And from that day forward, it has never stopped pushing and pushing something with weight forward. Doing content is a blast. And to anybody who says that it's really, really hard, I don't think it's necessarily hard. I think it's a very tedious thing to do correctly. And to do it consistently, it can get tough.
Consistently is hard.
Yeah, we have a lot of people, personally, that will ask me on my Instagram, like, hey, I'm just getting started. Do you have any tips? And I usually say 2 things. Structure, discipline is going to get you further than 90% of anybody else on the internet. You only see these miraculous like explosions of personalities in very, very rare cases. And I think a lot of people think that that's super normal. And unfortunately, it's not, especially with TikTok. I totally get it. You can have one video go viral, then all of a sudden you're known for being that one guy doing that one thing.
And that's all they want to see.
But once you start trying to get past that and you want to be more than just the thing that you pretended to be, that can be a really tough process. So I think the biggest learning curve for us has been the structure and discipline of doing it, and doing it while we're also balancing a lot. For you guys don't know, we also have a marketing agency that we support and that we have pretty much a full-time job for. It's called Meta Martini. We help a lot of automotive brands do marketing and social media and paid advertising and event activations. And we do all of that while also doing all of MartiniWorks, which is, what would you even explain what you do?
Psychotic.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's just social media 100% of the time is essentially, what it is. And I like when I worked the warehouse and factory jobs, that was tough in the sense I was very physical. I was always so exhausted. The hours were always like ridiculously early. But for this, I would still pick this over that. I would, but it's 24/7. The nice part about the factory was like when you clock out, you're done. Like done. No manager contacting, nothing like that. Right? You're completely done. With social media and doing stuff, it's 24/7. It doesn't matter. Even if you clock out of your main job or whatever, there's comments coming in, there's DMs coming in, there's emails coming in.
You're thinking about the next thing.
You have to be. And dude, I can't not watch a YouTube video, a TikTok, an Instagram, do anything and not be thinking of like, oh, this is how I could do my next video. This is how we could make the next MartiniWorks video. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it consumes your life. It really does. Like, and not maybe like you're not like actively doing something.
Right.
But like you said, it's like you see something and you're like, I know why they did that. I understand why you're picking up on the things. You're wondering how you can utilize it. And it's just like, oh my God, stop. Like next.
I can't just sit and enjoy this.
I can't enjoy anything anymore.
I got to break down why they said this. I got to explain to my wife how this is an actual advertisement. It's not part of the video. They got paid to do this segment of the video. Really? Oh, I didn't even realize it.
Oh my God.
Yes, that was sponsored by Jack Links. I promise you.
Yeah, that's the most like crazy thing too is like, because obviously coming in from like the marketing side of things too, it's like everything is a fucking ad.
Everything in the world.
Everything is a goddamn ad. This podcast is a goddamn ad. Okay, like like everything, and it's like you're walking around and you're seeing things like, oh man, that's cool, and then you like look at it for like 5 more seconds, like, God damn it, I just got sold something.
It's almost like a game to not be sold something as you get more and more into it. Because I was actually, my biggest gripe has nothing to do with the automotive industry in terms of like making this my full-time gig. It has made me hate more than anything else in the world family content creators. And I know that's just such a weird pivot.
You said that.
Yes.
Dude, I despise it.
you're
I will
100%
stand on a hill. I will die on this hill. I think my wife, Becca, she loves showing me like kid family TikToks. And I love it because it's cute and it's funny and it's, adorable and stuff. And in the back of my head, there's just like this growing heat of this fucking family is using their 4-year-old daughter as a way to make money because they are just pumping out content of this daughter, just pumping shit out.
Who really doesn't have a say.
Who doesn't have a say. Not going to touch the money. Nobody, there's no sort of like regulations against it really.
Which is wild.
Which is like in 20 years, when we're old, we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about, hey, remember when you used to be able to make a video about a kid and make money off of them?
Yeah.
And then be like,
for
that
your
was
benefit.
really wild, wasn't it? It's like, yeah, I can't believe they could do that. It's the same thing. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I got a question for you. I'm not saying I disagree with you because I do agree with you. But to play devil's advocate, at what like age, like let's say, because I was probably 10 years old or so when I really wanted to get into video creation. I started making videos, really bad videos. I just sucked.
So did I.
But yeah, exactly. So at what age do you look at it and you're like, well, the kid like literally does enjoy and wants to be doing this content?
I think
it was 13 was PayPal's initial requirement for you.
I was going to say there is like a thing out there for like, especially with like the YouTube stuff.
It's like 13, I
think it's 13 or something like that. Yeah.
So I would say, honestly, teenager, I think is I think where it's appropriate with some sort of parental sign off, meaning like, hey, this content features greater than 50%, or 75%, whatever that percentage is, of somebody who's under the age of 18.
Right.
And that is okay. Here's my signature.
Or what if it couldn't be monetized?
That's what I was saying. Like maybe if they just truly enjoy, if the family just truly enjoys sharing
Which
this
is
type
fair.
of content, take the monetization off of it then.
Because
I guarantee you'd see a very large deduction.
Because Becca and I have talked about this too, because she's like, well, when we have a kid, don't you want to make cute videos? And things
yeah.
I'm like, absolutely. But I promise you, like every single month, if I were to make videos with my child, I'm going to tell my entire audience that every single penny of that ad revenue is going into a trust fund for when they're 18. Yeah. And I'm not touching it because it just feels icky.
It does.
Weird.
It just
so
feels...
weird.
it feels icky.
Well, and especially with like, I know we're going way the fuck off topic here,
it's
but
about
but
marketing
yeah,
and
it is.
videos
Yeah.
and-
But it's like, you look at the stuff that just happened recently with that one family. They got busted, and now there's this whole investigation, and then like the amount of like abuse and like negligence that was going on behind the scenes. It's like that's just the
Tip of the iceberg.
tip of the iceberg for that. Like there's so many, like obviously there's a lot of big creators out there, but like think of like how many smaller family channels are out there that are doing anything to get an ounce of that attention.
Yeah.
And it's like how much of that is going
And I've seen people do worse for
Yeah.
less video views before. I think one of the crazy things I've learned is like Dakota and I just actually had to talk about this, where it's like, it is just, sometimes it's just really tough. If you guys don't know, at the end of the day, Jell's covered it. This is an ad. Our whole goal is that you buy shit from us so that we can keep doing rad shit like this, so that we can keep hopefully supporting the community in a way that makes you feel like we respect you
Right.
and what you're building. But to do that, we have to keep the lights on. We have to make sure that the money that's coming through is going to the right thing. And we got to take care of returns, and we got to make sure people are paid. And sometimes it can be really hard to like see the light at the end of the tunnel because we're just getting started. And then when we make just enough money, the question then comes down to like, okay, well, do we pay ourselves more, or do we hire another person to help us out? And it's like all signals point to hiring another person. So it's like, okay, well then I guess I'm fucked for another 6 months of not making more. And then it's like this continuous battle in a startup of like, when do you start to say, hey, I'd like to make a little bit more than the bare minimum?
Yeah.
How do I make and then you feel, again,
guilty.
you feel icky.
A little guilty.
You feel icky about talking about
It's a
it.
weird conversation, 100%. And I hope you guys too that are watching this like realize when we do advertisements, like we are hand picking those.
Yeah.
We want to give you the best advertisement. We're not picking like the biggest check.
No.
It's like we are choosing the brands that we believe in, that we feel genuinely good about saying, hey, pick this up. That's why we do what we do. So when we're talking about this, we're being real with you, we're being open, but just know too, when there is an advertisement, at least with MartiniWorks, like we are specifically choosing what brands to work with. I do that with my personal content too. I'm not going to promote something that I wouldn't buy myself or I don't believe in.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting opportunity, and I wish there was a way. Mario's like talked about it. It's like I've always wanted to show you guys a way like behind the scenes of this, because it is a pretty intense.
It's a lot
thing to do.
It is a lot because when I do get the chance to talk to some of my family or my friends that are like, aren't you doing a podcast? That's what you do now, right? And it's like, well, part of it, yeah. The 1/8 of the things that I'm responsible for.
Full-time podcast.
Yeah, full-time podcast, 1 episode a week, maybe. So I mean, yeah, it is. When we do get the chance to like sit down and talk about that, it's like I kind of realize myself too. It's like, holy fuck, because I just look at like the deadpan expression in their faces, like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's 10 things that you just told me you do. It's like, yeah, but it's like, it's all one, but it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most hilarious part has always been trying to explain to my dad and mom
oh yeah,
what I do. And you can say it like the formal way, right? Like own a business, do marketing. But then they'll be like, so why do you have a shop? Like, well, because we do content.
You sell parts on
And
it?
then they're like,
Shop?
oh, so you work on cars.
Oh, so you're building people's cars.
You're building people's cars. I'm like, no.
Can you
They're
do
like,
an oil change for me?
So if I need to get tires, can I get them from you? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
They're like, but can you, like,
Put
could
'em
you
on?
also see why my car has an exhaust leak? And I'm like, no. And then I'll
Yes,
get
but
random
no.
messages from people that are like my cousins from like Mexico, right? And it's like always like every other year I'll get a random message and they'll be like, hey, my car's making this weird noise. Do you know why that is? I have a 2000 blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
I feel like that's just car enthusiasts
What?
Yeah,
in
in
a
general,
nutshell.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
you like
something about
cars?
cars?
What's this noise?
Yeah, it's like that's how I feel.
la,
Like,
la, 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 la. That's the noise
what
it's
it must
making.
It
be
sounds like la 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 la.
I feel like that's what it's like to be like. I know my fucking a good buddy of mine. He's a EMT paramedic, and he gets that shit all the time. It's like, oh, so what? I got this.
Showing him
yeah,
some- yeah.
like any of like the medical.
So I think
field
everyone
out
can
there,
relate
yeah.
to that.
My brother used to, when we go to family functions, he used to say that he'd get a drink immediately because when people came up to him to ask him about stuff that had to do with being a paramedic, he'd say, unfortunately, I can't help you. I've been under the influence.
Oh, that's smart.
He can't, you legally, as a
didn't know that.
paramedic, at least in Texas, you cannot offer any sort of medical opinion if you're under any sort of substance. So he used to like when he used to go to family functions, he'd just grab a drink, grab a
Bolt
beer.
to the bar. I'm like, man, he's an
Have a
alcoholic.
beer?
It's like, no, he just doesn't want to talk to
You want to see, real quick, because I know I'm getting off here, but one of the worst professions that I've seen real time this happen to, what we're talking about, this phenomenon of, oh, you're in this career path, I need to talk to you about it.
Yep.
Tattoo artists.
Yes.
They
Oh my
get it
God.
worse
Oh my
than
God.
anyone, because the second that someone sniffs that they're a tattoo artist, they got to show them all their tattoos. They got to talk about what tattoo they want next, what they think of it, could they draw it, when can they do it. They'll come in. They never come in.
They never.
They never come in.
Dude, I've seen this. I have tattoo artist friends. You go to a bar. The entire time is them talking about tattoos with other people, and they hate it, and they're too nice to say it because it's their career too. So
Yeah.
they do, you know, you
Like,
want
yeah,
the
you
business,
like
but-
the yeah.
dude. Holy I felt so fucking bad. Anywhere you go, somehow gets out tattoo artist, and it's just
That
like,
Yeah.
well, I mean that happens. I mean that happens to you guys too. It's like I've seen gels or something. We've been sitting at a martini bar before, and like you're just trying to kind of like de-stress from the week. We're doing content, shooting this, doing that, and it's like the natural progression as more people come into a bar as the night goes later on, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by 12 people that want to talk about cars the whole night. And it's like, don't get me wrong, love it to death, but like I'm sitting in the corner just trying to like de-stress.
Like I just
about
did that for 8 hours.
yeah. So I think one of the cool things is, we love what we get to do. We
Oh,
appreciate it
absolutely.
more than anything in the world. We never want to tell you guys, that it's bad. We love it. There's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Like what you're hearing right now is, as we're sitting in front of this, there's an aperture light that was $1,300 that took 2 months to save up to buy. There's another Sony camera that's pointed at Dakota that took 2 months to save for. We got a wheel rack over there that we had to assemble that took 10 hours. We're standing next to this Max Jacks, which is absolutely awesome that they sent it to us for free. But it took what? 20 hours?
Yeah,
15
couple
hours?
days to really get everything set aside and put together. Yeah.
And while we're doing all of that, MartiniWorks is still growing. And we have 9 billion things to do for that. And so it's like, you get done with a day sometimes, and it's like, what the fuck did I even do? Did we do what we were supposed
do
to
stuff
do?
today?
I did a million small things, but I didn't do the one big thing.
Yeah.
And it feels like
Yep.
it's hard. And
Yeah.
what Alex was talking about earlier is so real. That calendar, that structure, and
It's huge.
holding each other accountable is huge, and that's like the hardest fucking part. And that's why, like, honestly, I don't spend a lot more time on my personal socials because dude, it's so hard to consistently do something.
Yeah.
I think you think of making, like, when you don't do it as a full-time job, you think of making videos and you're like, yeah, it's fun to make a video. Okay, do it today and then tomorrow and then the next day and then the next day
And then
the
plan
next
ahead
day,
for 2
and the
weeks
next day,
because
and
you're
the
gonna
next
be
day,
out or
and then
you're
take 2
going
days off
somewhere. Yep.
and then do it again and again and again and again and never fucking stop and keep coming up with ideas and keep going, and it's got to be new and you got to keep improving. I love it, but it gets mentally draining and exhausting, but that schedule is so important.
Yeah. And that's not just the beginning. I think one of the things we look at, one of the people I think that does it the best in the industry right now, there's 2 people, Von Gittin Jr. for RTR
Yep.
and Adam LZ with
They're
Paulette.
powerhouses.
Both of them are powerhouses, and they've done it for a long time. Von Gittin Jr. has been doing this for a minute, but I would argue the only reason RTR is as successful as it is because Von Gittin is a very business-oriented individual that has a personality, and Adam's been doing it for 10 years, but he's also has 30-some team members in total across
Right,
this whole
yeah.
onslaught of things. But like to keep that momentum going and rolling and moving and that whole thing kind of pushing forward, it does take consistency and it does take a lot of discipline. Otherwise, you end up not necessarily falling off, but you never really feel like you're doing a good job.
Right. And that's another thing too. It's a constant, at least personally too. It's a mental battle because
Yeah.
it's
Video doesn't do well, and
you
you're
talk
like,
you talk to anyone and
Comments sometimes.
yeah, you talk to anyone and I think everyone would agree that social media is incredibly toxic, and there's going to be studies done of how it impacted people and culture and our minds and stuff like that. I have no doubt about that, but it's like it's what we do for a living. We enjoy it, but at the same time, the trade-off of that, you get a lot of negative stuff from it too, and some not so great
I have had
mental things,
the
and like
nastiest things ever said to me.
I
on
know.
the most innocent of videos.
Yeah.
So have I.
Crazy.
it's like oh, I was really happy that I did this mod on my car. I finally fixed this thing that I wanted to do, and here's how I did it. Here's a little video for it. That was fun. I enjoyed that. And then the comments are just like, attacking my weight. They're attacking the way that I did that. They're attacking because I had a broom in my impact that I used one time. Man, you got the shittiest fucking. It was a gift, brother.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've been blessed. Like I've been doing this for a long time, and so my skin is definitely hardened.
Yeah.
Over the years, you
Which,
know, like
you get used to it, but at the same time, it's still, you get every
still
one of those
hurts.
one now and then it's like, ooh, that stung a little bit.
And that's what they want.
Yeah.
And I get, like you're saying, you got to have thick skin.
But like outside of the feedback and stuff too, it's that constant like, I need to do better. I didn't do good that time.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere and you're trying to relax. It's like,
Nope,
I should
film a video.
I should really be filming something. I should really be taking a picture of that. I should really be responding to those comments. I should really message that guy back. And it's like, it's always. It's like, I feel so bad because like, Maggie sees it too. Because like, I'll just be like sitting on the couch. Like we'll be like watching movies. She's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I haven't posted a video in like 2 months. I haven't done a short in like 3 weeks. I haven't, and it's like just constant. It's like, that's just kind of how it is. That's what social media it is. And it may be toxic and it may be not the most glamorous thing, but that's what we signed up to do.
one of the greatest pieces of advice I could ever give you guys, if you're listening and you're an aspiring content creator, and maybe you're at the cusp of this, or maybe you're kind of working on how to develop it. And I mentioned structure and discipline, but one of the greatest things I've always done is I've set a very clear boundary as to when I need mental rest.
Sure.
And for me personally, that's on Saturday afternoons to Sunday mornings. And as stupid as it sounds, the thing that I love to do the most, even during the week as well, if it's going to be nice out, I take a block walk. I go on like a 10-minute walk at like 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock, whenever you want to wake up. It could be 10 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't matter what time. But I get up and I go for a walk. And I do not touch my phone. And
That's huge.
No music,
Yeah.
no music, no phone, no nothing. Take a little walk, takes 15 minutes. And all I do is I hear the birds, I smell the dew on the grass, and I just remind myself that the next 10 hours or 12 hours, I'm going to be staring at a stupid fucking screen. There is a world out there that is growing, and it smells nice, and it's enjoyable to be around. And it helps me just ground myself to say, here's what I'm realistically going to do today. And I don't set myself up for failure. Because if I just jump right into work, I feel like I'll do a million things, and
It feels
don't
like you
feel
never
any
stop.
farther ahead.
Yeah, you never stop.
Absolutely.
It's just the weeks flow into each other. You never took that break for yourself. No, absolutely. I think it's great too, and it's like I try to delve into my other hobbies as much, and I am guilty of doing the same thing with my other hobbies as well.
Yeah, you start shooting content for it.
I started shooting content, but I've told myself like for that, it's like the only stuff that I really want to do. It's like if I have the time and I have the ambition for it, cool. If not, oh well.
Yeah.
It's like who cares, But no, that like my RC stuff like that. Like any time that we get to go out, Dakota and I actually went out to the field on
I love
Sunday.
seeing that. I love
on
seeing
Sunday, and it was a freaking gorgeous day out there. And I'm like, I'm gonna charge a couple planes up. I'm gonna bring the nitro one out so I can fly it multiple times. And I'm like, I just want to go for hours, and I just want to not do anything but that. And we did, and it was so much fun.
It was such a nice
It was
day.
such a nice day, and it's like you're out in the fresh air. You're talking with people you don't normally talk to because they're the older demographic in that hobby. And, they want to come talk to us and talk about the jets and stuff like that, which is really cool. So I do enjoy that, and I'm gotta watch myself on that too because I try to do the content on everything.
Burnout is so real.
Yeah.
It's 100% a real thing. And if you do not specifically make time, I know I'm preaching two different complete opposite things here. You need to be consistent. You need to follow a schedule, but you also need personal time in a way, especially as a creative. If you're a creative and you do not give yourself time to think, you won't think, and you will just make bland fucking vanilla content. And we've all done it. I'm sure everyone's done it. You get in like almost like a rhythm, right? It's with any job, anything you do, if you do it repetitively, it kind of becomes second nature, and then you just kind of go with that rhythm. But with content, that doesn't work. Maybe to an extent for certain things, but you constantly need to be pushing yourself a little bit if you want to grow.
Right.
Maybe if you find that follower base and you locked in and you just want to stay, you can find a kind of consistent thing you can do. But if you want to keep just consistently growing, you need to keep expanding, and to keep expanding, you need to have a spot to expand. And I had a great teaching that we did a lifetime ago that was about getting bored and how important that is, because we don't give ourselves time to get bored anymore. Because if you're not doing something, you're on your phone. If you're on your phone, we have an app that shows you a new video that you've never seen before in your entire life, and you can swipe and see another one. And swipe and you can go forever and see a video you've never seen before. So it just takes your attention. And that's why it's so important. Go fishing, go fly an RC plane, go just walk and be bored, because that's when your mind gets the time to say, hey,
have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about this? Yeah. Mario and I have some of the greatest conversations literally after 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. I'll be like sitting down on the couch, or I'll be literally laying in bed, and I will just set time aside to just do nothing. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I have this idea. Yeah. And like 9 times out of 10, some of the things that you guys see on the front end came from random night idea concepts, or a martini at the bar and just hanging out there and just shooting the shit with friends and just talking. You know, this world is such an incredible place where we get to do something that not a lot of people get to do, and that's only possible because of you guys and gals. And I think a lot of times people put that thing on a pedestal, and they see only the good, they say only the perfect, and a lot of times, just like what I feel is a lot of pressure on females in terms of how they're supposed to look and how they're supposed to act, it's a very false indication of the reality of it. And the reality of it is, it's a lot of fucking work. It's really hard. The internet will pummel you down into a pulp if you don't know how to protect yourself. And a lot of times it can make you feel less fulfilled than more fulfilled. And you have to find ways to fulfill yourself inside that space so that you know why you're doing it, but also outside of that space as well, so that you can remind yourself that there's a beautiful world out there, that there's a lot of dope shit you can do. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be mowing, it can be doing nothing, it can be airplanes, it could be cars. Yeah. There is an element
Go drive the car.
There's an element of you get so tied up into what you're doing. I always like compare it to being like a boa constrictor. Like you tighten yourself up into a ball so much so that if you don't let go, you'll kill yourself, you know, and you'll ruin the entire reason of why you love the hobby that you're into. Don't do that to yourself. You owe yourself more. You deserve more. You deserve better. And that's why we always started MartiniWorks, was because if we are going to do this, and this is going to be a real thing, we're going to do it with the parts that we love, doing content we love, with the people that we love to talk to. And if we don't love it, fuck off. We don't want anything to do with you. Go sell your shit somewhere else, or go do your shit somewhere else. We're not going to be a part of it. And that was a team decision, and that's what we'll continue to do till the dawn of time.
Absolutely.
You want to plug Fortune Auto now?
Go get Fortune Auto coilovers, not an ad. Don't.
Then
Here's our sponsor, Fortune Auto coilovers, one of our favorite advertisements, because guess what? I was running them before it ever even was an advertisement. I run Fortune Auto 500s in my Toyota Supra. If you didn't know, I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. Even back in the day when I was 19 years old and had my Evo 10, I was running Fortune Auto coilovers, and I loved them. I've used them on the track. I've used them on the street. I've used them on my show cars, and I've used them for my daily driver applications, and they have performed and done exactly what I wanted to in every scenario. If you didn't know, Fortune Autos are hand-built in the United States. They're rebuildable. So if you even wanted to upgrade, maybe you're not doing a rebuild, but you want to upgrade, you can send them into Fortune Auto. They can take them apart. We've seen them do it and put them all back together in the exact spec that you want. And if you don't know the exact spec that you want, they fucking do. And they'll tell you exactly what you need. So shout out to Fortune Auto for being a sponsor of the MartiniWorks podcast. We love you guys.
You know, I know you guys don't watch much Formula One, but if you're a listener of the podcast, just congrats to Lando Norris for finally getting P1. I don't know. What?
Is he related to Chuck Norris?
Close. McLaren driver.
Okay.
Got first place. Pretty cool. Max Verstappen got second.
What broke on Max's car?
What happened?
There was some controversy as to how the win was accrued, but nobody really cares because Lando Norris is very well received by the entire community. But he won. Lando Norris got his first win, which is huge because he's been in Formula One for a while now. Max Verstappen got second, and of course, for some reason, they might as well just nickname him Charles the Third Leclerc. Got third again. Damn. So
podium.
it was a really cool thing. It was kind of a bummer because like I've always wanted to go to the Miami Grand Prix, and I saw obviously all the content of people who went, but it's like every time the Miami Grand Prix happens, I swear to God, all the partners, all the influencers, all the race teams, they only invite like huge entertainers to be at those events. Like it's insane the level of like brand social credibility that you had to have get there. It was absolutely wild. I didn't even get an invite. I didn't even get like a question if I wanted to go. Why didn't they want a little Wisconsin me to go? I'm
sounding kind of entitled right now.
I was a little.
Why wasn't I there?
Yeah. Well,
Why didn't they invite me? Alan?
Chuck Norris was there.
You got
Why wasn't I
to
there?
go to.
what's her
some
name?
races.
Dua Lipa.
I like Dua Lipa.
I don't.
She was there.
Good for her.
I'm
She
just
got
happy to
she
hear
got
Chuck
to hug
Norris won.
Charles Leclerc. I want to hug Charles
You
Leclerc.
did hug Charles.
Your
I want to hug him a second time.
Your arms couldn't fit around his neck.
You went to Italy. You're upset you didn't go to Miami?
I would like to go. I just want to go to a Formula One race.
I imagine that Max Verstappen right now is like sitting in a hyperbolic time chamber, just shaking in rage that he got second place.
Dude, the post race interview was the
my
best
God.
part about it. Like, because Max has like no filter anymore. It seems like in these interviews.
I mean, yeah.
And I don't know. Somebody asked him a question about like, what if this happened and what if that happened, and his like very first response was like, what if, what if my mom had balls, then she'd be my dad. So I don't know what to tell.
My dad always says that if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle.
And that was like the highlight.
All right, I like
of
Max
the
more now.
post-race
I
interview.
like him now.
And then in the I think it was either in qualifying or something like that. Like he got first for that, and then the race engineer came on the line and he was like, "Okay, Max, that's P1, nice job." And Max just responds, "Lol." Where are the rest of the drivers?
Oh my God.
It was just fantastic. It was a cool race. I'm not entitled. I just really want to go to Miami Grand Prix. And
I know you're upset.
if
I mean,
if I don't
do
go
they
to
not
Las
just
Vegas
sell
Grand Prix,
general admission.
yeah, we just have to sell one of those.
Oh, is that how
and,
much that shit is?
We'll
Or
we'll
what?
be able to get there.
Oh my god.
Well, once you consider the food and everything.
We're not selling the new one.
I don't know. I've never been to an F1 race.
Me neither. That's why I want to go.
Oh, I thought you'd been to one.
Oh no, I've never been to one.
my
I haven't
bad.
even been to an IndyCar race.
I'm sorry.
Well, you got to start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, we'll start at we went to a WRL race, so that's
Yeah.
close. Hey, let's talk about some breaking news on Reddit. First things first, the Fisker Ocean factory assumes no further production will take place, and Fisker is closing its California headquarters.
How the fuck is Fisker even around?
They're building cars in the ocean?
The thing that I have to think about is that I thought Fisker went out of business like 10
I was gonna
years
say
ago.
same. Yeah.
I heard that they don't make noise when they start up.
Did Childish Gambino tell you that, or
Maybe.
in
I
a
heard it
certain
somewhere.
part? Okay. Anyway.
I've heard this.
Just so you know.
Up next, we have, did which car your dad drove matter to you?
As a kid, I remember, yes, dude, I used to get so upset because my dad changed vehicles. I wouldn't say frequently, but enough that I like cared about what vehicle we were getting. And he would go look at them, and I would get so pissed when we would look at one and he wouldn't get that one. 'Cause
Oh, right,
I
yeah.
would like fall in love with it. I'd be like, is that, like, dude, I remember one time he was looking at a Hummer H2. Why? I have no idea. My dad would never fucking get an H2, but we went and test drove it and everything. And I had that car in Need for Speed Underground 2, SUV, I guess.
Decked it out?
Yeah, I was like, dude, I cannot wait to tell my friends we got a Hummer. And my dad's like, I'm not buying that thing. It's like fucking 6 miles per gallon. That thing sucks. And I was like,
Honestly, probably
what? And then he bought a Duramax. So
My-
I would say yes.
My dad never really owned anything that was like, I guess, exciting to drive.
Yeah.
He was always very like conservative. So he was initially a Chevy 1500 guy.
Oh.
And then he bought a Toyota Camry, and then he bought a Toyota Tundra, and now he owns a Subaru, and he regrets that decision, and he needs to go back. And I
We
told
should have him on the podcast.
and I told him, just go back to Toyota and buy a Toyota SUV or something. And he's like, we'll see, blah, 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 blah. But I don't remember any cool cars. My mom's boyfriend, I guess at the time, that would be she was in a relationship with this guy for like 10 years or 12 years. He always had the biggest shit boxes known to man.
Oh, yeah.
But the good news is his name was Tony. He was always awesome to talk to. And we put on like the morning radio, and we would just talk about something random. And he used to be like an antique collector and seller. So he knew all this random stuff about just like the oldest thing. And so every time I jump in the car, it'd be at 6 o'clock in the morning, hop in this Ford Escort wagon. That was
hell yeah.
250,000 miles, no
Fuck
rear
yeah.
fender left. And we would go
As
and
it should.
And he'd be like, what do you want to talk about today? And we'd turn on the radio and they'd be talking about like pirates or something. And Tony would be like, let's talk about pirates. I'm going to tell you what I know about pirates. And we would just go talk about pirates. And it was like a 35-minute drive into town. So every single
wanna
day
go
it was
for a
like
ride
an
with Tony.
extra
Yeah, for real. That
class
sounds
with
nice.
Tony.
That sounds nice.
And then when my mom picked me up, we didn't really, I don't know, not really anything.
She didn't want to talk about
The
pirates.
only memorable car drive experience I had with my mother was when we talked about condoms. That is the only time I ever remember having a conversation with my mom, like in the car when I was a younger than 16-year-old. It was like kind of like the sex talk, you know,
Right,
but it wasn't the sex talk
Yeah.
because it was an awkward talk. It was like, hey, so I just want you to know that if you needed, anything for safe
Stuff.
activities with someone. I was like, thank you, mother.
Got it.
I'm good.
Thanks.
Got it.
I'm
Thanks.
totally.
I want
I'm
Tony to pick me up.
I'm
I want to talk about pirates now.
I actually remember where it was too. It was like Eau Claire had a new like bypass, and there was a new like Woodman's that was
yep.
getting built, and then there's a bridge right there. That is exactly
So
where
it's
the
you
talk
can't
happened.
cross that bridge anymore.
Every single time I cross the bridge, I think about this is where my mom tried to talk to me about sex. My dad looked at me one time. I was like 14 years old, and he goes, "Do we need to have the talk?" And I'm like, "The talk about what?" He goes, "You know the talk. The talk about sex." And I'm like, "No, I understand." He goes, "Good." And then he looks at me and goes, "Don't mess up." I'm like,
That's
"Yes, Papa. Sounds good."
sounds good. Yeah.
All right. What is?
I didn't even give me.
Oh, sorry.
Let Joe's talk.
No, I would say it was like growing up, like when I was like at home and stuff. I can't say we had any like neat cars or anything. My mom her Ram trucks. She has had a Ram 1500 my entire life,
Wow.
and she like trades it in every like 4 years or so, gets a newer one. Ram 1500, Ram 1500.
dude.
She's always had a Ram.
Mama Joe's
truck.
huge
She
Ram.
loves
advocate.
her trucks. Well, she, we would go camping a lot, and she would be the one that pulls the camper. She'd be the one to drive us places. So yeah, there was that. My dad always talked about back in the day. He had a Mercury Cougar XR7.
Ooh, banger.
So, but it was like the 70s one. So it was like
Banger.
right after they were really cool, but they were still kind of cool. He would always talk about that. Had the 351 Cleveland in it. All that kind of stuff. But then I remember he told me one time too, he had a Dodge Shadow. You know what a Dodge Shadow is?
No.
Sounds familiar.
They're like these boxy little fucking cars. I think they had, I'm going to butcher it. A really tiny engine, but it was a 4-cylinder turbo. And they were just the ugliest looking things. But he's like, that car was so much fun because he loved it that it had the turbocharger. But I do remember when we went to get because my mom had the truck and we had a Grand Caravan for the longest time that was like the family vehicle. And my dad, I just remember that day specifically because it was just so fucking random that it happened. We was like, hey, we're going for a ride somewhere. I'm like, okay. And I hopped in the van with him and we drove down to just this little used dealership and we got a Chevy 1500 white.
Sick.
And I was like, my dad's like, all right, grab everything you can, put it in that truck. And there was like cassette tapes and like my VHS tapes and shit like that. I'm like grabbing like pens and stuff. I'm like, what are we doing? And I get in this truck. He's like, say goodbye to the van. I was like, bye, van. And then I fell asleep in the truck and he locked me in there. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up to the police unlocking the door because my dad locked me in the brand new truck. And then he sold it like 2 weeks later because my mom was so pissed that he went out and bought another truck for no reason.
That is a
and
roller
traded in
coaster of
our
a story.
fantastic Grand Caravan that we had.
That the story was so standard, and then at the end it just had like
Yeah,
a heart.
yeah.
It had like a
Derailed it.
heartbeat moment.
It could have. it might not have been the same. I was like probably 5 at this time. I don't know. My mom will probably correct him in the comments of what exactly
Mama
happened. I just
gels.
remember that we had a white truck for a very short amount of time, and my dad locked me in at one point.
Nice. Let's see.
So no, I would not say that those have impacted my vehicle choices.
I still want to show up and pick up my kid in a dope ass car though.
Oh, absolutely.
I just feel like it's like a rite of
Yeah,
passage.
their
I
choices
agree,
might not
dude.
have impacted mine, but my choices will impact theirs.
Like I want to be that parent.
Yeah,
I do want to be that parent.
My parents, their vehicle choice didn't impact mine. I just got excited when they got a new car. That's why I was.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
mom got a Pontiac Aztec. One of the most hated cars on the internet. That fucker had a DVD player in it. I thought it was the coolest fucking car.
Hell
That's
yeah.
all I wanted when I was a kid. When I saw that there were things with like DVD players
my
on
God.
like the inside, and my dad would be like,
This is the worst. You'd be like on a long road trip and you see like kids like pass.
Yeah,
and
you
they
could
I'm
see
like,
the screen
they're
going by.
playing like PlayStation. I'm like, oh,
I wish I had that.
I'm playing the fucking like alphabet
It was
game
fucking me.
in the goddamn Aztec.
Just 10-year-old Dakota.
Yeah. Literally used it once because we thought it was cool. Found out I get motion sickness if I'm playing video games or watch movies while I'm driving.
yeah.
Never used it again. So
Damn.
not as cool as you think.
It was the thought that counted.
My dad always was upset that it was actually hilarious because we used to drive to Mexico to visit family from Wisconsin. It's a 24-hour drive on the dot.
My God.
And
Christ.
but I have a really good knack of sleeping hard when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a 24-hour car ride, the last thing you want is your passengers to fall asleep because you feel abused. And yeah, so my
Oh,
dad
what are you
kept trying.
saying?
My dad kept trying to talk to me when we would go down to Mexico, so he could stay awake and he could
Yep.
feel like we were doing this as a team. I didn't. I would sleep for like
No.
18, 20 hours of the 24-hour drive
How
and
the
not
fuck
feel bad
can you
about it
do
at all.
that?
I don't know. I had a
love
big
doing that.
bladder too, so I never had to go to the
Oh, yeah.
bathroom.
I love
I'm
doing
good
that.
at that, but I cannot sleep on a road trip or on a plane.
It's like
I tried.
teleporting. It's the best.
It is.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
You just
All
like
right.
Blink.
there.
Guys, I got great news.
What's up?
Don't look at this. I got great news.
What do you got?
You got to let me finish this whole thing.
Okay, so I'm shutting up.
Subaru is finally making a manual Subaru WRX wagon
In Japan?
for Mexico.
Okay.
That's it. That's the whole news.
U.S. don't get it.
See how excited I am right now?
Familia Motorsport.
Do they have a picture of it?
Yeah, it looks
Well,
like
it already exists.
God, yeah.
It exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't get it.
Mexico gets it.
Mexico gets it.
Mexico gets the manual
For
Subaru.
some reason,
It's
United
because they
States
watch-
hates wagons.
It's because they watch the fourth Fast and the Furious. and
Yeah,
they're
it's just like-
we need to bring it back.
They talk to like anyone in the U.S. apparently. Like, no, I'm just gonna get an SUV instead.
Okay, next up, final question. What minor design feature bothers you in a car?
Oh, the volume knob. I said that.
Yeah,
That
volume
was-
knob.
Let me think.
Minor design feature bothers me.
I'll tell you what, 341 or bust says GM turning on the backup lights when you lock the car.
I get it, I guess.
Oh yeah, I have noticed that. Yeah, yeah, it's weird.
Somebody else said piano black. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing they said.
I can get that for like the interiors,
Gloss
like
black interior
Mazda.
stuff.
Mazda does that. The fucking RX-8 has a ton of that shit. Even when we were riding down to Riverside, I was riding with Mark. He's got like the new Mazda 3. Awesome cars, by the way. Those things are fantastic. But yeah, his one complaint is like, dude, this fucking piano black interior. It's like I clean it and it's like 5 seconds. It's smudged up. There's dust on it. Like it looks terrible. I hate the piano black. I get that one. Another on the lights too. It's like, notice with the GR86, it's like you get out and you lock it and it's all good. You're like done, right? The lights stay on for like fucking 2 minutes
Yeah, they stand for
before they shut off. It's like,
I hate when a car has a bad horn.
yeah,
The Supra has a bad horn.
does it?
Yeah.
The FRS had a terrible horn. Yeah.
What the fuck? Man, now I just got embarrassed when I was
Yeah.
super pissed off.
I
Secondhand
remember
embarrassment.
specifically one. Maggie loves fucking honking the goddamn horn at people. I get secondhand.
She
embarrassment.
seems like the kind of gal that loves
She's like,
honking.
if you're fucking up driving, I'm gonna let you know that you're an idiot. Like, just burp, you know. So Jeep, good horn, right? Probably the one good thing about that vehicle. The FRS at the time, not a great horn. I don't honk at people. She had enough of it one time because someone was really being it, and she did the thing.
She crossed
I'll give
over.
Her, I'll give her the pass on it because
From
like
the passenger
she
seat?
did, and she smacked it for me, and it's like, "Eek," and she's like, and it's like the fuck? She's like, That's a bad horn. I'm like, why do you think I don't use it? She's like, because you're a bitch. And I'm like, yeah, right. But also the horn confirms that. So.
Maybe they do it to help road rage because you're not going to use the horn if you're know it's shit.
I feel like Maggie and Becca share such commonalities in driving behavior because Becca's the same way. Becca thinks I drive like a bitch. She'll tell me too.
Yeah.
Like we'll get to a stop, and there's two-way traffic and I need to turn left, and she'll be like, "Go."
Yeah. She's like, every time she's like, you could have fucking made that. I'm like,
she's like, "Go." I'm like, who's driving right now? She's like, I would be, but I don't want to. And I'm like, well, then let me drive. What's the difference between? And then here's the worst part. I love my wife to death. We'll be driving, and she'll be like, you can go. And I'm like, I know I can go. There's a green light to tell me I can go. I'm going. She'll be like, she'll be like, why are you waiting? I'm like, to be polite. She's like, just go. And she'll be like, you're supposed to turn here. I'm like, and it's like you get a 3 warning system.
3 warnings
in the car. There's a 3 warning system where it's like, you can go, it's green, turn right, like those sort of things. And then finally I'll just look at her and I'll be like, can you please stop? And then she'll just not say a word for the rest of the trip. And then
now you fucked up. Now you fucked up.
She's like, well, you don't want to.
You don't want me to talk.
I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, wait till she hears this podcast.
She listens to all of it and she watches everything. And I threw out my back. And yesterday I moved a box and then she literally sent me a video on the Ring camera. She's like, I told you not to fucking move anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Marry a redhead. They're great. With that being said, we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening on the MartiniWorks podcast. We know we took it in a little bit of a couple different directions today. Hopefully you took something away from it, though. If you guys have a passion in cars, you want to make it a full-time gig, do it. But it is hard and it is difficult and it tries your patience. And never forget about your mental health, no matter what you do. We love you. Mod your car at MartiniWorks.com.
Bye.
Peace.